Hello everyone, welcome back to another reading vlog. I obviously already would have explained why I decided to do this vlog, but I just quickly wanted to introduce the first book of today's video. Now, when I put up the question sticker as to what books are my subscribers' favourite books and the books that you would recommend most to me, one of the most common ones was Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I've seen this book crop up quite a few times, especially recently because it has just recently been traditionally published. I feel like the self-published version was out and about everywhere. It was very, very popular, and now all of the books by this author have like these adorable illustrated covers. And I don't actually have the physical copy, but it was £1.99 on the Kindle the other day, so I thought why not buy it. And I started it actually last night, so it's currently nearly 9 o'clock in the evening the next day, but I started it about 24 hours ago, but I haven't actually got that far into it at all because I just fell asleep last night. But I'm currently on page 40, and I will say I can see already why this is some of your favourite books. I'm absolutely loving it already. I know that the book does actually have some tropes in it that aren't the most popular tropes in the book community, which is why I was actually quite surprised that this one came up quite a lot. It does apparently have the pregnancy trope in it, the accidental pregnancy trope, which seems to be widely hated, I want to say, but this seems to be a popular book, so some people out there love it. There's obviously not much that I can say as of now because obviously, as I said, I'm only 40 pages in, so I can't really tell you too much about it, but I will say that it has made me laugh already. It's made me relate to it in a way. Like, I just really love it. Like, the writing style and just the way that it's formatted was really, really nice as well. And obviously that's me saying that at page 40, so we are looking up. This is looking very, very good, and I think I'm gonna really, really enjoy this book, and happy that you guys picked it for me to read. Morning everyone. I feel like this is very similar to another vlog that I'm filming because I'm filming two vlogs at once, but I just wanted to update you on Out on a Limb. I feel like I haven't really had the chance to update over the last couple of days because I've had graduation, birthday, other stuff going on. It's just been a very, very busy time for me, but I'm now 70% through Out on a Limb, and I feel like I haven't really said much, but I just wanted to say how much the communication is so good in this book, and I didn't realise how much miscommunication I actually read until I read this book, and the communication's just been great. Our main character, Wynne, has moved in with Beau because of her pregnancy, and everything went so far quite smoothly. And I thought, I'm 70% of this book, like 70% of the way through, and it feels like I'm not actually reading it. Like, I'll read 5 pages and then in reality I've read 60 pages, and I was like, how have I sat and read this? Like, it's going by so fast. Even though I've been on this book for like nearly a week now because I've been so busy, the actual time I've spent reading it has felt like nothing, and I was like, how am I reading it so quick? It's just such an easy, good read, and I'm loving it. It is a 5-star prediction, I do want to say that, but we will see. We've still got quite a bit of the way to go, but I have got some plans tonight for my birthday, so I don't know how much I'm going to be able to read today, but I've got about 100 pages left, so it is looking good. But I just wanted to update the vlog anyway because I feel like I haven't like sat and spoken a long time. But yeah, hope everyone's well. Riley and I are literally having like the coziest day in bed ever. It was my birthday celebrations last night, so I've literally just felt a little bit groggy all day, I can't lie to you. But I just wanted to give you a little reading update. I actually got the physical copy of Out on a Limb for my birthday, and I'm so glad that I didn't finish it before I got it, because that means that I can read the rest of it physically. For some reason I just feel like I've been really craving reading a physical copy lately. Like, normally I'm such a Kindle girl. As much as I love having the physical copy, I always find it easier to read on my Kindle. I enjoy reading on my Kindle, but the second I saw this I was like, thank God. Even though I would have bought the physical copy myself anyway after I finished it because I'm loving it that much, I still definitely wanted to finish it in the physical copy. But yeah, I literally feel like I've got like 50 pages left now. I have read around 50 pages already this morning. It's got to the point in the book now where I feel like the romance has definitely progressed and they definitely do have like some sort of feelings for each other, but they haven't said anything in like a massive grand reveal kind of way. But I really liked that. It sort of come naturally to them. The romance was never forced. It didn't feel like one second they found out they were pregnant and then she moved in and now they're suddenly in love. Like, it just happened at a very nice pace. Even though I'm 50 pages towards the end and they haven't necessarily got together yet, they're sort of both assuming they're together without any labels right now where I'm at, and it's really nice. And I feel like it's done well because it's sort of, they've done everything backwards, if that makes sense. They had the baby first and then they had the relationship, whereas like in most circumstances it's the other way around. I thought that that was a really nice way of doing it because it's a lot more realistic take. I'm having a very cozy day and I plan on finishing this book. One of Beau's love languages in this is certainly gift giving. He keeps surprising her with like all these kind of like extravagant gifts. Nothing that, you know, is too outlandish, stuff that she like needs for her pregnancy and stuff. But she's like, I don't need all of this stuff. Like, please stop surprising me with stuff. And he's like, it's fine, I have money. And it's just so cute. The fact that she's just literally getting spoiled, and I love it. Like, as she should. She's carrying his child as she should. Finished the book and I am gonna sit on it. I was gonna sit and review it now, but I literally finished it like less than 2 minutes ago, so I feel like I should do like have a little moment to think and reflect on what I've just read. I know that I loved it, so I'm gonna tell you that now, but I'm gonna have a little think about it first before I come up with like a little review and stuff. But I have finished it. So guys, obviously as you saw, I have now finished Out on a Limb, and it's time for my little rating and review. First of all, I want to start by saying the first like 50% of this book, I was genuinely convinced that I wanted to rate this book a 5-star. Like, it was a 5-star prediction, and I think I put it on a little bit too much of a pedestal. Like, I loved this book, don't get me wrong, but I think I put it on a little bit of a pedestal because I'd heard nothing but good things about it. So when I was loving it going into it, I was like, oh my god, 5-star, it's amazing. And it was a great book, but the fact that I've sat and thought about it over the last couple of days, I think I'm still going to rate it like a 4.5, 4.75, so still one of my favourite books of the year, but just not that 5-star. I'm making it sound so negative, it's not. It was still, I loved it, it was great, but for the first half I was convinced it was a 5-star. This book has obviously great disability representation, and I feel like it allows people that struggle with a physical disability to relate to that, and also give some insight into those that don't have a physical disability, the sort of day-to-day struggles that people with them face, and sort of things that you wouldn't even really think of. Not just, oh, I don't have a leg, this is how I struggle. It's also the psychological stuff behind it as well, and like how that would make someone feel. And I really like that in this book, because I felt like I knew the characters personally, and I felt like I knew them on a closer level, and I also felt like the characters had a lot of depth towards them, if that makes sense. Like, it was more than a normal romance book. I don't know, but this book was absolutely incredible, and I'm so happy that I finally read it. I feel like, as I said, this has been like one of my most anticipated reads for a while. I've heard nothing but good things, and safe to say that you guys picked very well. This is such a good book. But obviously now that means we're going to move on to our next book. A little sneak peek. Oh, what is it? Let's roll it. Jump scare for the wet hair, wet rat. But I wanted to quickly introduce our next book for today's video. Another one that cropped up quite a bit actually, that had more than one vote, was Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. I love Christina Lauren and I love their books. I'm just really terrified to read this. This is one of my friend Summer's favourite books ever, and she's always put it on such a pedestal for me, and she basically nags me about reading it every single day. Every time I see her, this book gets brought up and she's like, Ella, please, when are you going to read it? And every time I have to say I haven't read it yet. But I think it's because she's put it on such a pedestal for me. I'm terrified of not liking it. I don't think so far there's been a Christina Lauren book that I don't like. I have had a very long 12-hour day of working, both at my job and YouTube, and I've done that for 3 days straight. So I'm already on the 36-hour mark of my week and it's only Wednesday, so I'm ready to settle down with a book. I'm not sure if I'm going to get too far into it tonight, simply because, as I said, it's late, I'm tired, but I'm going to just slowly read this over the next couple of days, and of course we'll update you with my thoughts, but I'm going to make a start on this one now. I've seen nothing but love for this book, and I feel like I'm the only person in the world that hasn't read it yet, so it's about time. Just around 50 pages into Love and Other Words, and I just feel like this book has so far everything in it that I would predict a 5-star. I know that I said last night that it is a 5-star prediction for me. I've heard nothing but good things about it, but this is just exactly what I like in a book, and I feel like the way that it's been like told is really smart and really good. The way that there's sort of like a then and now timeline with some sort of like parallels in between. It doesn't exactly parallel per chapter, but there's definitely similarities between the then and the now and the way the story's been written, which I really like, and I think that that is a great storytelling technique. And of course we need a main character trauma in order for me to like it. That is everything. In every one of my favourite books there is some kind of trauma or something, and in this one our main character mum has sadly passed away, and obviously we're seeing the then and now timeline of that, and in the then timeline it's fairly fresh. It's like 3 years in, so she's still really dealing with it as like a present thing in her life, and then in the now timeline obviously it still hurts, but it's a little bit easier on her. She's got other things to sort of like worry about in her forefront of her mind. But for now, I'm really enjoying it. They are getting to the point in the book where Macy and her dad have just recently moved into a little like holiday home for a while. Elliot, the next door neighbour, comes in and reads, and then in the now timeline they've just seen each other for the first time in 11 years. And second chance romances are my literal, like, I would die for them, and I'm so excited. I'm already loving this book, and obviously, as I said, only 50 pages in, so it's looking good. Finally time for my halfway update of Love and Other Words. I've been reading this book over the last couple of days. I've been very busy. I went to London for a hospital appointment for Riley. It was a whole thing. I went to my dad's and I've just been sort of like slowly reading it, which has been such a pleasant experience. I feel like this is the book that I'd want to take my time with a little bit. Like, it is very much bingeable, and I will, if I wasn't busy, I probably would have binged it over the span of like a day or two. But I feel like it's been such a nice cozy read that it's been quite pleasant to just sit and read it over the last couple of days, taking it slow, not putting much pressure on it. But as I said, it is also that book that you could binge. It's not because it's slow or anything like that. I am enjoying the chapters from the past. It's like a past and present timeline a little bit more than I'm enjoying the present, but not in a bad way. I just think that the nostalgia of them being childhood friends. Childhood friends is one of my favourite tropes, and I didn't realise it until I read Magnolia Parks, that childhood friends to lovers and second chance romances are like, I eat them up like crack in my brain. I'm like, give me more. And obviously this is that, and obviously it's interesting seeing them in the like present timeline chapters, because it's like, how have they changed? Has their dynamic changed? They've seen each other again after like 11 years, so it's a little bit interesting. So I might get through this a little bit quicker than I got through the first half, which is good, because it's one of them things where like I can't wait for it to be over because I need to know what happened, but I also don't want it to be over, so I'm trying to prolong it, if that makes sense. I don't know, I'm absolutely loving this book, giggling, kicking my feet, blushing. This is like everything I need in a book. So I'm gonna finish it before I say like obviously a full opinion, but so good. I love this so much. They're saying that obviously she's been a lot happier since Elliot's come back around, and it says, really, do you even know what happy looks like? I was wondering this the other day actually. Had I ever seen you happy before the picnic? Because they all went out for a picnic. Just goes to show that him being back in her life, it was so much of a change. So guys, I finished Love and Other Words, and I'm not gonna lie to you, finished it a couple of days ago and have already started reading for the next book for this video, but completely forgot to review it and stuff like that, because when I was filming, reading like the last 50 pages of it, I was just so invested in that book that I just didn't pick up the camera. But I am still, to this day, even though it's only been a couple of days, so obsessed with that book. I ended up rating it a 5-star, and I'm so annoyed that I didn't read it sooner. It was one of them ones where it was sat on my bookshelf for literal days, literal months. I think I got it in my first ever bookstore vlog at Waterstones in Piccadilly, which was the first time that I went there was September last year. So literally it's been sat on my shelf for a year, and I'd known about it before that. So I was so annoyed that I didn't read it sooner, but I feel like I read it at a perfect time in my life. I feel like if I read it at a different point, it may not have hit as hard, but I just feel like if you compiled all of my favourite things and put it into a book, that would be Love and Other Words. It had the second chance romance, childhood friends to lovers, small town kind of childhood side of things, as well as like the city in the now timelines. The then and now timeline in itself was great. I really did enjoy that book, and also a little sprinkle of trauma in there as well. I feel like that in a book speaks my language. So Love and Other Words was a 5-star read. Loved the writing style. This was not my first rodeo with Christina Lauren. I love their book so much. This one just spoke to me and I love it so much. So this morning I managed to start the next book of this video. That was before I went to work, and that is The Love of My Afterlife by Kirsty Greenwood. Now I stupidly left the copy at my mum's, and I'm at Riley's again now, so I don't actually have the physical copy on me, but I read I think the first like 50 or something pages this morning before work. I was instantly like really drawn into it, and it got to the point where I was literally walking to and from work like this with the book in my hands, and I've never done that before. The second it normally gets to the point of me heading to work, I normally just pop my book in my bag. I never even get the chance to read at work. I just always bring it with me anyway and walk to work and then walk home and then read again. Whereas this time I was just so obsessed with it that I was literally walking to work like this, and I did nearly walk into a couple of lampposts, I will say. But obviously I've now had to download it on my Kindle because I don't have the physical copy on me, but that's okay. But I have come home now and I'm now in the garden for a little bit. It's a really nice day outside, so I'm planning on reading quite a little bit more of this evening. Not planning on binging the whole thing, but if it happens, it happens. But if you're not too sure what The Love of My Afterlife is about, from what I know of it, obviously I don't know much because obviously I'm only like 50 odd pages in, but from what I know, it's about a girl who passes away and she gets sent into like an afterlife waiting room kind of thing. And then in that waiting room she meets a guy there, and she makes a deal with the people in the afterlife basically, and they said if you can find this guy in real life, I'll send you both back. If you can find him in London, you get to keep your life, whereas if you don't find him in 10 days and you don't make him kiss you, you have to come back to the afterlife and die forever. And I love stuff like this because it literally is sort of like an Ashley Poston kind of vibe, where it's sort of like that paranormal, magical realism kind of thing, and I'm really liking it so far. Obviously not sure how the rest of it is gonna go, but we will see. If it carries on, then it's definitely gonna be a good one. So I feel like I'm enough into the book now to give a little bit of a first impression opinion. First of all, obviously really enjoying it. I said that from the beginning. I was literally walking to work with the book in my hands, absolutely loving it. But another thing that I really like is the fact that I could already tell from like the first couple of pages that it was like British humour kind of book, and that it was an English book, simply because of the way that it was written, the words that are being used, and obviously as someone that consumes American content on like a daily basis, which I like and I enjoy, as a British person, when someone gets your humour exactly like that, because there are slight differences, it's just so much nicer because you can sort of laugh along and fully relate to the character. So the way the narrator, like the main character Delphi, was talking, I was like, that is literally how I speak. And another thing was the way that Kirsty Greenwood, the author of this book, snuck in the pop culture references. She made a comment about a Jessie J video that I knew the context of, and the fact that it was just written in such a casual way into the book really made me laugh. And sometimes I feel like it can be a little bit funny when authors bring in pop culture references into books and when they speak about certain social media platforms, because I know that some people say that it dates books and it doesn't really fit into books, and it, like, I don't know, some people just don't like that. But the way that Kirsty Greenwood has done this, I feel like she's done it in a way that it doesn't seem overbearing, and I like the way that she sort of sneaks it in to be relatable, but not too much that it's unbearable. I don't know, that sounds like a really specific thing to say, but I like that. Morning everyone, me and my friend Isabel are going to a farmer's market today, and obviously we're going to bring our books with us, but I thought I'd do a little reading update before we go. I am just about halfway through this book actually, which is really cool. Really enjoying it so far. I think I've only got one tiny little criticism about it, and obviously, as I said, this book is about the journey of Delphi trying to find Jonah in real life so that she can save her life. And as much as I'm enjoying the journey that she's going on and like seeing all the different routes that it's going to take and stuff like that, it's very comedic and I am enjoying it, but it's taking a little bit too long in my opinion. Like, I've been reading this book for 2 days, so obviously yesterday and today, and it just feels like I've been reading it longer than that. Like, not that that's a bad thing, but it just feels like it's taking quite a lot of time. The pacing is good and it's still interesting, like it is still fast paced, but I just feel like I'm ready now for a bit of a revelation. I'm ready for something else to happen, and obviously the second half of the book is where that's going to happen, but I'm ready. I'm ready for something new. It's good. It's just that I need the story to progress. That's all. I'm back and I'm in Riley's little tavern bar, and I've got to such a good point in the book now where there was a trope that I wasn't really expecting actually in this book, and it's the one bed trope. So if that's your cup of tea, then that does happen in this book. I was reading it while I was at the farmer's market, which was really fun. I actually ended up getting this new t-shirt because we ended up going shopping after, so that's cute. I've just got back and started reading again, and the one bed trope, wasn't expecting that bit. It has been so funny. I don't know, I've just really enjoyed like the comedic side of this book, and I'm so glad. I can't say what I want to say without spoiling the book, but there's also I'm not going to say it, but all is well. One bed trope, funny scenes, definitely picked up since I last updated you. Obviously before I went out today, I did say how I was waiting for a little bit more of a resolution, and I wanted a little bit more, I needed the plot to just get a move on just a little bit. I feel like it got to the point now where I was like, right, I need some change, and literally the second I put down the camera and read again, it started progressing. So I think I spoke a little bit too soon, but yeah, it's really good. So gonna finish it tonight. Hi guys, I have finally finished The Love of My Afterlife by Kirsty Greenwood. I feel like I did finish it a couple of days ago, I'm not gonna lie, but I've sort of been putting my thoughts together. I haven't really had a chance to update this vlog, to be fair. I managed to read quite a little bit more the day that we went to the farmer's market. I didn't read too much when I was there, but when I got home, I just sort of like binged the rest of the book. And last time I think I actually updated you, I think I was about halfway through, or just over halfway through maybe. But I've now finished it, which is a good sign. I really enjoyed this book. I hadn't really had any inclination as to what it was going to be or what I was going to think about it before I went into it. I'd seen a couple of good reviews over on Instagram, and a couple of people said that it was like one of their favourite books, but nothing too crazy. Like, no one's really spoken about it. Now it's blown up a little bit more, obviously, because time's gone on, but I think I want to rate this book I want to say 4.5, because I really enjoyed it. I feel like I said this about Out on a Limb, but the characters felt like they had so much depth to them, and it was a lot more than just your normal typical romance book. Obviously you had Delphi, and she had to try and find Jonah in order to save her life, but obviously there was a lot of obstacles along the way. The only reason this isn't a 4.75 or a 5-star is simply because, as I said, did slow down just a tiny little bit too much in the middle for me. I was just sort of like waiting for the story to progress a little bit, and the pacing just sort of went a little bit off just as you got to the middle. But then, to be fair, the second that I said that and I read on to the next bit, the story progressed and things started to happen. There was a fairly large plot twist towards the end of the book that I didn't expect until a couple of pages before, when it started hinting it. I sort of like, it clicked in my brain and I was like, oh my goodness, like that's amazing. So definitely give this a read if you're thinking about it. I did have a little cry towards the end of this book because it suddenly does take a little bit of an emotional turn, but don't let that put you off because it's in a good way, I suppose. I'm going to be real with you now. Out of all of the books that we read in this video, I feel like out of every single one of my reading vlogs, this has had the best outcome rating wise. So we obviously had Out on a Limb, which was a 4-star. We had Love and Other Words, which was a 5-star. Then we had The Love of My Afterlife, which was a 4.75. So all of which very high ratings from me, and I feel like that never happens in my reading vlogs. I feel like I always love one, not really like one, they're kind of like okay, or I just don't like it in general. But these have all been some of my favourite books so far of this year. I highly recommend them, and I'm so glad that you guys have got me onto them, which obviously goes to show that you guys have good taste, because I would not have read them at this very moment if it wasn't for you. I feel like I can trust you. I feel like we've formed a bond over the last week or so that I've been reading these books, and I'm so happy that I read them. But that is where I'm going to end this vlog, because we have read the books for this video. I hope you enjoyed me watching them, and I hope you enjoyed picking the books I read. Obviously, if you do want to get involved in stuff like this in the future, then definitely head over to my Instagram, because that's where I post all the polls and the question stickers and everything that you can get involved in videos with. So always link my socials down below, but I will put it on screen as well. But if you did enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will love you and leave you, and hopefully see you in my next one. Bye!